And some of these ladies are just amazing. I'm just really enjoying them because, after we reach a certain age, say 50 and above, I did a video about this. We become the invisible class, women more so than men, but I have heard from men that say they have the same problems. But I think with women, because we equate beauty with youth, and we think once we get to a certain age, we don't have anything to bring to the table because our self-worth is based on our personal appearance. Not all, some.
I wake up in the morning with a smile on my face, feeling thankful for the love and the happiness we chase. Sun is shining brightly, sky so blue and clear. With every
Well, good morning. Well, actually, it's afternoon. I always do that. I forget, because by the time I start filming this, half the day has gone by. It's after 1 o'clock. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I just finished watching a live from two of my most favorite lady YouTubers, Tracy from Life in the Wild West and Emmy from the Number One Ladies Club. If you haven't watched it, please go check it out. I just love them both. They're just absolutely wonderful. As a matter of fact, I gave them a shout out in my last video, and I put their links in the description of that video if you want to go check that out. I think I'll add it in the description of this one as well. And I added a bunch of links from other lady YouTubers that are over 50, the more mature ladies. And I keep coming across more, so that list is just going to grow and grow. Every description, I'm gonna keep including it. And because I think we need to help each other out, because there's a lot of them out there. And sadly, I haven't found them till just recently because YouTube hasn't been pushing them. But once you start watching videos from those type of content creators, then YouTube sends more your way. So since I started watching them, I've been getting more, and there's a bunch of us out there and just wonderful content. I'm really loving it. There's not enough hours in the day to watch them all. And right now I'm so far behind. I've got to get caught up because, my granddaughter's here and I'm working, and I just haven't been watching them, but I miss them and I want to get caught up. I still have to comment to all the comments from people on my videos. Like the last one I did on getting back on the carnivore bandwagon or diet wagon again, and you guys left some amazing comments, and I should have thought of this. It was so helpful. I'm glad I brought it to you. Did you? That's my grandkids down there. They're playing a game. Anyway, I said my biggest problem right now is I can eat meat all day. I'm doing wonderful, but come nighttime, when my granddaughter's eating ice cream, I'm like a child. I got to have some too. Doesn't matter how full I am. If she's eating ice cream, I gotta have ice cream. Well, duh, I forgot there's carnivore ice cream. Problem solved. It was that simple, but I just wasn't thinking that way. I just felt terrible because I was eating the wrong kind. But now I can have my ice cream and eat it too. So I'm really happy that I brought that to you guys. Thank you so much. It's going to make things a lot easier for me to get back on the bandwagon or back in the saddle or whatever. So I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna try and make some. But today I want to talk about all these wonderful lady content creators on YouTube, because there's so many of us and we got a lot to say. And some of these ladies are just amazing. I'm just really enjoying them because, after we reach a certain age, say 50 and above, I did a video about this. We become the invisible class, women more so than men, but I have heard from men that say they have the same problems. But I think with women, because we equate beauty with youth, and we think once we get to a certain age, we don't have anything to bring to the table because our self-worth is based on our personal appearance. Not all. Some of you ladies are way smarter and ahead of the game, but some of us were brought up that way. And so when we get to a certain age, we lie. We don't want anybody to know how old we are because they'll think less of us. And we, use all the moisturizers and the makeup, and, some even do plastic surgery, whatever it takes, because you want to You want to stay youthful looking because you don't want anybody to ever think you're old, because old is a dirty word in our language. To say you're old, that's just the worst crime a female can commit. That's a sin to get old. So we always act like we're still young and healthy, and we can be just because we've lived a long life, but we equate old with being decrepit and worn out and one foot in the grave. But I don't feel that way, and I don't think most of you feel that way. But because we don't look as young as we once did, we feel bad, about ourselves, or at least society wants us to. I'll be honest, I really don't. I feel better than I've ever felt. And so when I talk about being old, I get chastised a lot from women my age, right? You're not old. You're only as old as you feel. Well, I feel like 60, but I feel like a healthy 60. And you can be 60 and be healthy and still feel good. I don't know why everybody thinks, you 60 means old. I'm talking to women 70, 80, even 90 that are still active and busy, and they feel great. So I don't know where that started, but the point I want to make is that it's okay to get older. And there's a lot of benefits that come with being older. We feel better. I know I feel more comfortable in my skin now. I don't care about that kind of trivial stuff that I did when I was younger. You don't sweat the small stuff, so to speak. And there's just a lot of beauty in it. And I love women my age. I love, the experience, the stories that they have, the wisdom. And we need to set an example for the younger generation and let them know it's not the end of the world. Turning 60 is not the end of the world. I know I thought so at one time. My God, the idea of turning 60, life was pretty much over at that point. I didn't realize that once you turn 60 or even 50, you think differently. And it's not the end of the world when you get to that age, because I still, in my mind, I'm still 30, even though I don't look it and I don't want to look it. I still feel like a younger woman inside. I'm active, I'm healthy, I'm strong. And it's so funny because we don't see ourselves the way other people do. And I include myself in this because I know a lot of times I'll see people my age and I think, oh, they really let themselves go. They've gotten older, and they probably think the same thing of me because we feel younger. When we look in the mirror, we see somebody younger because we feel younger. We don't necessarily know how we look to other people. And I noticed that a lot of women will post pictures on their birthday. This is what 63 looks like, in hopes that you'll say, oh, my darling, you don't look a day over 30, and even though they do, but they need that validation because that's better to say you look younger. To say you look 60, but you're a beautiful 60. That just doesn't mesh in their head. You can't be beautiful and 60. Doggone it. Of course I'm getting a call. Okay, I never think to put my phone on do not disturb when I'm making these. I'm just not that smart, I guess. But anyway, the most beautiful women I know at this point are women that are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. They're beautiful. I may not have thought that when I was younger, but I sure do now. I see a lot of beautiful older women, and it's not their physical appearance that necessarily makes them beautiful. It's the fact that the confidence that they feel comfortable in their own skin, just the wisdom that they have to share, the stories. I had 2 aunts that I recall growing up, and neither one of them was particularly beautiful, but I loved them because they were both so vital and so active and funny. They were funny and fun, and I just have such good memories of them. And I also had an aunt who was very into the way she looked. She didn't really enjoy being around children, for one thing, and she was always dressed to the nines, and her hair was done, her makeup done, and she was just kind of stern looking. She didn't smile a lot. She just didn't seem very happy. And she was also not very kind. And, my memories of her aren't very fond. And I realized it's because she was more concerned with her appearance and what other people thought of her I guess the way she looked, because she sure didn't work on her personality or being fun. Because my other aunts, like I said, they weren't necessarily considered very attractive, but man, they were great ladies. And they actually aged better because they weren't as concerned. And as they got older, they seemed to become more attractive. At least I thought so. And that to me is more important. I want my grandkids to think of me as, the fun, active, outgoing grandparent. I don't want to be, the grandma that was more concerned about, looking a certain way. I obviously I dress the way I want to dress. I wear my head wraps. I wear my jewelry. I get a lot of criticism for it, but you know what? I don't care. I like it. This is me. I express myself now. When I was younger, I was a people pleaser. I wouldn't have done all this. I've got a nose piercing. Oh, some people just loathe it, but I don't care. I did this. This is for me. This is all for me. This is who I am. I enjoy this. I'm expressing my inner personality. I'm an artist, and it feels comfortable. But for years, I would never have done this. I would not have worn the head wraps, for one. I would have spent all the time doing my hair, and it takes a long time. But you know what? My time is valuable at this point. So, if I could save an hour just throwing a head wrap, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, I'm going to listen to the criticism. There's always, you know what? You're going to get criticized no matter what you do, no matter what you look like. You're still going to get criticism. So why not do what feels best to you? And that's where I'm at. And that's what's happened in my old age. As I aged, I've learned to accept myself for who I am. I accept others for who they are as well now. And I enjoy that. And I've just come to the realization that I'm not ever going to fit into any specific mold. I'm just not. And it's too much work to try. I'm just trying to live my life on my own terms, do things the way I want. And since I started doing YouTube, I've met a bunch of other ladies like me. Man, I'm so glad I found my tribe, because they're not necessarily in my neighborhood. I've met a few, but I'm meeting more of you online, and that's been so great. And I'm getting all kinds of inspiration, and you guys are just so kind and fun, and it's just been so enjoyable. I just can't even tell. And even the older guys, there's a lot of older dudes on my channel that are wonderful, and I can talk to them like I talk to my girlfriends, and it's been great. And guys do go through it too. Honestly, they're just playing a game. I know, they get carried away. But yeah, I met a lot of guys that are doing the same thing. They just want to be happy and healthy. And like I said, since, part of being healthy is trying to lose the excess weight. I still have a bunch of weight to lose, but I'm not all about being skinny anymore. When I was younger, that was the epitome of everything. I needed to weigh 102 pounds because I'm short. And, and to look my best, I thought, and I would brag about it all the time. Now it's like when somebody tells me how much they weigh, I'm like, I don't need to know how much you weigh. I'm never going to tell you how much I weigh. That's a personal thing. But I look at people not based on their weight or their age or the way they look. I base my friendships off of people that I connect with, people that are funny, are warm, interesting, have stories to share. And yeah, like I'm all over the place. I wanted to mention the fact that since I am trying to lose weight, part of losing weight is it ages you. When you lose weight, it will age you because your skin's going to hang and you get the jowls and all this neck stuff, and you have to decide, do you want to, keep the fat and keep it puffs out the wrinkles and all that stuff, but you don't feel as good. And I think, I'd rather feel good, get rid of the excess weight, look older. I don't care. I'm not a model. I'm not trying to attract a mate. I don't care. My husband loves me. I love him. He's aging. I'm aging. It's just, we accept each other for who we are. And just, be hygienic. Take care of yourself. Doesn't mean you have to let yourself go. And if you want to do those things, if you want to get plastic surgery, I would never tell anybody no. You do what you need to do. I'm just telling you, I'm not doing that. Maybe if I hit the lotto and things get even worse, yeah, I might consider it. But I will never look down on somebody that does. That's a personal choice, because you never know what's inside them. You never know how they feel about themselves, and it all depends on how you were raised and, varying factors. I'm fortunate because I don't have anybody in my life that criticizes me for my personal appearance, and I know some people that do. And so, yeah, they're a little more concerned. I'm trying to raise my granddaughters to just appreciate who they are. And, everybody has their own beauty, and they really do. I don't know if you've noticed as you get older, but young people are all just beautiful just because they're young, but they don't realize it, unfortunately, until they get older. Wouldn't you want to go back to, remember when you thought you were fat and you thought you looked terrible? And now I look at those pictures and it was like, my God, why? And it was because I was listening to outside voices, other people saying what the ideal of beauty was. And I was trying to be that. And I can't. I never could. I'm 5'2". I'm never going to look like a model, And, we all, there's beauty comes in all shapes and sizes and looks and colors and, but I didn't learn that until later on in life. And I realize it now. How long did I talk? Yeah, not too bad for me. But I just want, other women to know it's okay to get older. Old is not a bad word. As long as you feel good and you're healthy and you're energetic, it's okay to say you're old. And one of my pet peeves is when people say, well, you're 63 years young. Would you say, little Bobby is 7 years young? No, that's how old you are. That's how long you've lived. I've lived 63 years. I'm 63 years old. Youthful is a state of mind. It's not a number. And I do feel younger and healthier, but I am 63 years old and I'm okay with it. And you're just going to have to be okay with it too. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. I still got to go out and do Uber, and my grandkids are here. I got to clean the house before I go, and so much. And I got to make that carnivore ice cream, because that's going to change everything. That's what I was looking for. So thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. And let me know what you think in the comments. How old are you? How old do you feel? Do you feel good? Because that's all that matters. And if you don't feel good, well, then make some changes. I didn't feel good until I hit 62. I tried every diet. I had lap band surgery. I did all the things trying to feel good. Nothing worked for me until I found carnivore. And you know what? I'm not a doctor and I'm not a dietitian, so I'm not going to tell you that, absolutely you have to do that. I believe it's beneficial because it's worked for me. And that's the only reason I can even preach on it. But I'm certainly not going to tell you to change whatever you're doing if it's working for you. But I don't know, because I've heard from people that are vegetarians and vegans, and they swear they feel amazing. So who am I to tell them, no, you don't feel good? You know what I mean? We all have our own paths, our own journey. You decide what works for you. I would love to share my way of eating with you if you have any questions, because like I said, it's the first diet that has been beneficial for me. But I've also heard from people that said they've tried it and it just wasn't for them. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a doctor or a dietitian. I'm just a regular old lady who's doing what feels best for her, and this feels good for me. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go for real this time, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.